Good morning, my friends. We're gonna go a little virtual with these lessons now that we're stuck virtual for at least another week. So buckle up. I'm gonna give you guys some lectures. This one's on the Hundred Years' War, which is the last thing that I want to talk about or want to look at before we take a quiz on the later medieval ages. I'm going to do this in two parts, okay? So the first part's going to be sort of causes of the war, and then we'll talk about the war itself. So we talked, if you've been paying attention, maybe you could tell there's a little bit of a rivalry developing between Britain and France, or maybe a possibility of some issues. But let's just go over those so that we're all on the same page. Both are modern and emerging nation states, so they both have a concept, right? People who are living in those countries are developing an idea of what it means to be French, what it means to be English, right? So they always, right, had sort of regional loyalties, right, or regional identity, right? If you lived in Normandy, you were going to think of yourself as Norman, right? If you were a Celt in England, you thought of yourself as Celtic. But now these two countries are emerging sort of as France and as England. And if you're living there, you're starting to think of yourself as French or as English. Both also have strong centralized governments. So, right, the King of England and the King of France have done a really good job of using feudalism to gain the loyalty of their lords, right? And they're enforcing and requiring lords to pay taxes and give them knights, right? So they have a strong centralized government, things like the Domesday Book, judicial system that developed in England, the currency, right? All of those things help England and France to have a strong central government. Finally, both have expanded government to include a body where the people have some representation. So in England, we have Parliament, which we talked about with the Magna Carta, right? That was part of the Magna Carta. And in France, we have something called the Estates General. It's 3 estates, basically each get 1 vote. Both are not giving much representation at all to the sort of common people. Notice in France, the clergy get 1 vote, the nobles get 1 vote, and the commoners get 1 vote. So not very good representation, but it is an attempt. It's a step towards allowing sort of people to have a say in their government, which is another similarity between the two countries. These similarities in their location result in 3 sort of problems. First of all, right, they're right across the English Channel, so they're going to try to control that because it's really significant for trade, which is the second problem here. They're going to want to be controlling trade in the region, right, because trade equals money, which equals power. Finally, the English nobility are tied in a weird way to the French monarch. Remember, William was William of Normandy before he became William the Conqueror and King of England in 1066. So this means that he's got this weird bond of fealty to the French king, which is, as he continues to hold his land in Normandy, right, is going to maybe cause some issues between the two powers. So let's look at sort of the direct causes. First of all, right, Norman English royalty rather had fought for years to hold on to their land in Normandy, and had successfully done so. In 1337, Edward III is King of England. So this is the many times great-grandson of William the Conqueror. And his mom had actually been a French princess, the daughter of the French king. Things are great until the French king dies without leaving a male heir. Sorry, ladies, his daughter couldn't become queen. The French didn't allow that. So when he dies, there's this open, right, who's going to be King of France. Who the French decide is going to be the King of France is the king's cousin, many times removed. And Edward of England is going to say, no, I am much closer relative to the King of France. I ought to be the King of France. So he's going to claim the throne. The French aren't going to like that, right? They don't want the descendant of a Norman bastard, right, to be the King of France. And so this is going to cause a war that's going to break out between these two countries, and it's going to last for over a century. All right, make sure you've gotten your notes on this video and head on to video number 2.